Claude AI, Figma, and Canva. My name is Frederike, and today we want to have a better understanding of how we can do this with these three tools and in a way that speeds up your process. And what we are focusing on are not presentations in a general sense, but we are focusing on pitch presentations. So, do you know this? Normally, when you create a pitch presentation, you go to PowerPoint, you maybe use Trestles or Prezi or you use Gamma and you create your pitch presentations. But this always takes a lot of time and it does not necessarily result in a speedy and effective and efficient process. And for that reason, I will show you a different workflow that you can be using these three tools. So what you see here is that we are in Claude, and what you will be needing is the professional plan. You don't necessarily need it. You can also use the free plan, but it might be that you are ending up having to wait a couple of hours to bring in all of those slides to life. So let's create an example. So when I do my presentations, what I do is that I type in a specific prompt into Claude to figure out what I want to, like what kind of slides I want to create. So let's imagine that we want to create an AI powered newsletter writer. And for this AI powered newsletter writing tool, I want to create a pitch presentation. So let's put this in. Hey, Claude, I want to create an AI powered newsletter writer tool, and I want to create a pitch presentation to investors for that. Can you please create, and now the important part comes, can you please create SVG files of the different files of the presentation in a 16:9 size. And what this means is that what we want to have is a visual presentation that contains different slides that we can adapt. And what Claude is about to be doing very well is that it creates images for you, but not images like ChatGPT, for example, where you have very, let's say, creative images through the integration with DALL-E. But what they do is Claude is able to create presentation slides for you in an SVG format. An SVG format is kind of a formatted and programmed image. And through these SVG files, you have more options for adaptability, more options for coloring, and more options to make tiny adaptations to those slides, which then makes it more effective for you to efficiently and effectively create those slides. So that's the reason why we say SVG files very specifically. And also we say, and here precisely say, it's about the 16:9 size or the 16:9 sizing. So it comes in the size of a presentation. You obviously can adapt this. You can say a one-to-one square or something else that better fits what you're looking for. What we can also do is adapt and add some color schemes. So we could say, I want to have this presentation in nice blue, purple, and white colors. Make it, however, as smooth and modern and simple as possible. You can play around with that, but importantly, give some colors if you have some color ideas. You can also here, because you can upload data and upload files, you can also add, for example, if you already have a logo, if you already have a name, you can also already upload it. Sometimes if you upload this, Claude may not be able to recreate exactly the same logo that you uploaded, but we see other versions of how you can do this with Figma later on. So with this, we have our initial prompt, and let's get started and see what Claude comes up with. So we see that it gives us here the first information of what it is creating. So a modern minimalist presentation design using SVG files with a smooth color palette of blues, purples, and white. I create several slides with a 16:9 aspect ratio. It might not always be the case that it does all of those slides for you automatically. It might be that for me, I already used Claude for several of those, let's say, pitch presentations. If this is not the case for you, you can always ask for more slides. So in that case, it created 3 different slides for me. And we can go and have a look, because the nice idea and the nice development here of Claude is that it shows you those slides automatically as a preview. So we can start and click on the title slides, and we see now it's just called it News AI, AI-powered newsletter generation platform. It then gives us the problem statement slide. The problem: newsletter creation is time-consuming, maintaining consistent quality is challenging, and content personalization at scale is difficult. And it also creates us a solution slide. So News AI, AI-powered content generation, smart personalization engine, automated publishing workflow. So you see, this is a very simple design because we put in simple. But obviously we can also say and ask the AI to make it more rich for us. And as well, what you can see here is that it gives us some design features, and it also asks us to create more slides. But let's first make sure that we get a bit of a richer content and richer design. So we can say, thank you for these slides. I like the content, but I feel that they are not as rich in color and content as they could be. Make them visually more appealing, richer in its design and content, and create a nice and stronger headline. So I normally like to have headlines that are more about, let's hide this so you can see it. I like headlines more that are written in a form of a consulting firm. So what I normally do is to say, create headlines as company employees at McKinsey or BCG would use. And what I also like to add is to say, okay, after you created these, please create these sample slides, and then you create some more slides for me. Please create the first 3 slides for me. Again, as sample slides, and then we can create more slides after. And then let's see what comes up now. So you see that you normally get better results, and hopefully you will get better results when you play around with the tool a bit. When you play around with the tool, you get new ideas, you get deeper and richer content, and you already see from this very enhanced title slide that the colors and the design is a bit more strong, and this allows you to then better create those additional SVG files. So let's wait while it creates those additional slides. But what you also see is while it creates those slides, you see how it develops the content. It develops the content by kind of programming the image. And by programming the image and putting the content of the image in there, you have more opportunities to more easily then change the content of those slides too. So what you can see here is now that the design is way more rich and way more enhanced. And this also allows us then to more easily and change content, as well as having a way more visually appealing. So we see here it said, I've completely redesigned the slides with rich visual elements, consulting style headlines, enhanced content, color scheme. And now it asks us if I would like to proceed with creating the remaining slides in this enhanced style. So what we will be doing is we will ask it to create some more slides. We won't do all of the slides because otherwise the video will get very long, but we will ask for 2 more slides, and then we go on with the next step of how to create those presentations. So we say, hey Claude, thanks for these slides. They are much better. Please continue to create 2 more slides. In our case, the market size and opportunity, and the go-to-market analysis. So now it will create those additional slides. While it creates it, we can't click on those specific slides that we have created before, because this often results in Claude not being able to proceed, and it makes some mistakes. So best thing is to wait here until it has created those 2 slides. But you obviously can always go back and see what it created here, what kind of information it gave us here, and to see if you want to change specific aspects of that. It creates those 2 slides. You can see the content, how it is developing the content, and also how it creates those different parts of the image. And now what we can see is 5 in total slides that are very rich in content and very rich in design. But what you can also see is already here in this slide, it's not perfectly aligned. So this text that we can see here in these 3 buckets is layered across each other and above each other, so it's difficult to read and the design is a bit off. But let's have a quick look on all of those slides. So the enhanced title slide now says News AI revolutionizing content creation, transforming newsletter production with AI-driven intelligence, 3 times faster, 70% cost reduction, 99% accuracy. I think we can work on that, but in general, it gives us a bit more richer content. We have the enhanced problem statement slide. We now have the $15 billion newsletter industry, a market ready for disruption. We have the manual content creation crisis, quality scale paradox, and personalization gap. So much more content and explanation, understanding of why this might be a problem. And then we come up with the enhanced solution that says the next generation content engine, intelligent content generation, dynamic personalization engine, and enterprise grade analysis. So obviously this is demo data. If you want to include other data, what you can be doing is that you ask the AI to change this specific slide. So let's imagine that you say, News AI, the next generation content engine, you like it, but for the enterprise grade analytics, you're not necessarily needing it, and you have some additional content that you want to put in. Let's imagine the intelligent content generation, dynamic personalization, and as a third part, you have a community of a newsletter community for creators. So what you can be doing is that you click here on the code, you copy paste the whole code, and there are different options. You can just copy paste it in a text format. You change the specific content that you want to change. And then later on in Figma, I show you how you can just copy paste this in. But if you don't want to do this and you're a bit lazy and you want to have AI do it for you, you just copy paste this whole code. You put the whole code into here and you say at the end of the code, however you want to do it, hey, Claude, I like this slide about the News AI solution, but I do not offer an enterprise grade analytics, but instead a community for creators, for newsletter creators. Can you please adapt this slide with this new information? We click enter, and now what we will be seeing, this is normally what I see, and this is exactly what we will be seeing, is that Claude creates a new slide, but it builds upon the slide and the content that we just put in. We don't necessarily have to copy paste the whole code, but sometimes I prefer doing it because then we can make sure that the enhanced and the new slide is as close to the other slide, the enhanced solution slide, the previous one that we had. We see that there are a tiny bit of changes in the design, but now the content has changed. So instead of the enterprise grade analytics, we have here vibrant creator economy or community. We have collaborative knowledge sharing, expert networking hub, and resource marketplace. So the AI adapted according to what we said it. We can also see the other 2 slides, the market size opportunity. So here it included a graph. We can obviously ask to change the graph given specific numbers. And we also have the go-to-market slide where we have here this design problem. With the design problem, sometimes AI is able to adapt it, sometimes it's not. We can try to do this here by clicking again on the code. We copy paste this whole thing. Preview again. And we say, we put this in and we say, for the go-to-market slide, the text or the descriptive text in the 3 buckets is a bit off. It is laying above each other. Can you please design and write it in a way that it is visually readable and not above each other but below each other within the respective boxes, and we click enter. So now we can see, excuse me, this is not what we wanted to click. Go back here. Now we can see if the AI is able to do it so that we can move on, or if otherwise we have to make some personal and more manual adaptations. So now we can see that it is bringing in all of this content again into this development. And now we actually see that it did a very good job in doing that. So it helps us to have less manual work. We can see that now the senior sales team for the enterprise direct sales, the 6-month sales cycle, and the 250K ACV targets are nicely designed and in this one box. So how can we now move those slides into a presentation? There are different versions and different options. What we see with Claude, what it presents is if we click on download to file, it will download the file as an SVG file. But an SVG file is not something that we can easily put into a presentation. So my workaround is to not do that, but instead use the code, copy paste in Figma, make some adaptations if necessary, and then copy this whole thing in Canva. If you say the slides are perfect, you can skip the step with Figma and automatically proceed to Canva, download your files as an SVG file, upload them to Canva, and then in Canva, create this presentation and download as either PNG files or alternatively as a whole presentation. I normally like this step with Canva because it allows you to also move around those slides, but there are other options too. There are also specific tools on the internet. Swoosh, for example, is one by Google where you can easily change and adapt presentations and change the format of not presentations, format of images. So if you have an image that is an SVG file and you want to move it into a PNG file or into a PDF file, then you can also use those tools. My workflow normally is that I use the code, and let's start with the enhanced title slide. What I do is I copy paste the code. I go to Figma. We have here an empty Figma. It just has to upload and load. Let's wait a quick second. A bit of a longer quick second. So you see I have created some other slides here already. And now I copy paste the slide in, and you automatically see that this slide now is created in here. And what you can also see is that you can adapt the creation. So if you say, okay, this doesn't make sense that it is in this format, so you can just move it over here and you can say, look, here now I create a nice colored slide that is more in that way. So now you have a nicer slide, but at the same time, you can still use exactly what the AI used, and you can just make those individual adaptations. So for example, you can say, I want to have this a bit lower here in this presentation. And now I want to have News AI revolutionizing content creation. So we just put this in here. We put it here. We have a nicer slide, and this whole creation went very fast. We can go back to Claude and do this with the other files as well. So now let's take the enhanced problem slide. We use the code. You can also download it and then add it to Figma. I just think this goes a bit faster. Now we have the next slide. We put this over here. Again, we can adapt here this slide. We put this over here. we see that this is not exactly the same. So what we can do again is to say, for example, we put this in here, put this a tiny bit up, and we have our slide, or alternatively, we move everything a bit down. So you see here it has this nice bracket here. So let's see if it does it. Yes, it moves the whole bracket down. We can move this a bit down. And then we have a nice structure. Maybe move it a tiny bit up again. And now we have a good presentation slide. So we can do this with all of those slides. This whole thing takes you maximum of 5 minutes. You make these small adaptations and then you have your frames ready. What you do next is you have your frame, and what you do is you export the frame. You go here, you can do it as a PNG file, as JPG, SVG, and PDF. You can also just download as a PDF file. Then, for example, put it in a Wonderfape, a PDF Wonder element tool here, or some other tools, Adobe tools. When you have a premium version, you put this in PDF, you download, and you have your slides ready. I normally do a PNG file, I export the frame, and then afterwards I use it in Canva. So now we exported the frame, do the same here with this frame. We export it into as a PNG file. It uploads here, and then we go to Canva. And what we do in Canva is that I use the premium version for Canva, so I pay roughly $10 per month. For me, it's very worth it, but you can also get a premium demo version for a month. And what you do is you create a design. I normally go for presentations because that's the 16:9 sizing that I used before for the SVG file. So I go for presentation. Then we have this nice design here. Then we wait until Canva is loaded. We go to uploads, upload files. You won't see this now, but we have the presentations slides here. So I upload them. You now see them here in the images that come up in Canva. And then I click on this one. You can either put it this way, or alternatively, you move it all over. You put it in the whole presentation slide. This looks nice. You see this is not perfectly aligned here, this second layer, the lighter layer in blue. So if we go in Figma, if we really want to make it exactly right, it takes maybe a tiny bit more time. Just make sure that you have the right edges here. Alternatively, leave it out if you don't like it. Then you put this in here. Now we have that. Same with the layer. That's not perfect. There's some way to improvement, but for demo purposes, you get the gist. Now you have those slides. You can move around the slides if you prefer another slide here in the start. Let's move back with this presentation slide. So you have News AI, revolutionizing content creation. You have a very nice then problem slide. You can then add the other slides that we created with Claude just a moment again, and you are ready with your presentation. You can then share it. You say download. You say flatten PDF, PDF standards to slides. You click on download and you have your presentation ready. So this was what I wanted to share with you today. This very simple process of how you can create pitch presentations in a way that it's much faster and more efficient and more effective as if you do this with other tools. It saves you a lot of time, it saves you a lot of trouble, and AI is a great co-pilot in that sense to really help you speed up this process. So what you need to do this as a repetition, you have Claude. You explain to Claude AI what you want to do, what kind of presentation you want to create. Don't forget to use these SVG files, then the 16:9 sizing as well as the coloring. You can also say already in the very first slide, the first prompt, that you want to make it as rich and content rich as possible. Otherwise, you have one or two adaptations to make that possible. Then you get all of your slides, you make those adaptations, and once you're done with the slides, once you decided to make some adaptations to the text and the content, what you do then is that you copy paste those slides and the code into Figma. In Figma, you can make some individual updates, and then you export the frame, download it from Figma, include it in Canva, and then in Canva, you can make the final restructuring, reordering, and then you're done and you have your full presentation and you can send it out to your clients, to investors, or whoever you want to send out your pitch presentation to. Thanks for listening. If you like this video, sign up and follow this channel, as well as liking this video would be amazing. And with that, have a great day.